welcome to episode 2 of the Weaverbirds, hosted by Cathy from Lazykate Textiles and myself, Heather, the Inquisitive Weaver. We're coming to you every fortnight to talk about our weaving, spinning, knitting, and what any craft we decide to do. So we were very happy with the response that we got from our first video. It was really lovely to see, have all the comments and people liking the video, and the subscribers. I have to say, I was really shocked. I didn't think we would have such a response for the first time. Yeah, so we're very happy and very thankful that you've all decided to watch us, and please share with anyone that you think might be interested for the future. And what was really nice is Anne, who commented, she bought my Mighty Wolf from me, and it's really nice to see people's comments on like giving advice. So I've never lashed on or tied on a dummy warp, so there are things that I definitely should have a go of, and it was really interesting to hear that that's how I can save waste. And also weaving clothes, which we'll come to later, but that's also a very interesting topic. So yeah, it's really lovely, and I guess we're just really pleased, and so we'll keep doing this. Yeah, so to start with, we'll talk about weaving. Have you been up to any weaving in the last couple of weeks?
No, I haven't. I said that I would, didn't I, last week, and I haven't been able to. I've got an illness that affects my fingers, and so it comes and goes, and sometimes it's fine and I can cope with it, and sometimes it just stops me completely. And so when this problem I've had this time, it's been since January, and so when the lockdown happened, then I thought I'm going to be able to learn loads more things. I'll be able to move forward things that I was too busy to have a go with in the past year. I thought this is a real opportunity to learn, and I haven't been able to. And so it's absolutely driven me crackers. It really, really has. Yeah. And I have to say, at some point I got really quite down about it, because as crafts people, when we're hit a low, or when we're down about anything, this is what we go to, don't we? And so when the lockdown started, and there were all those memes that were saying, this is what we've been training for, this is what your stash is for for me, I couldn't do it. And I know you know exactly how that feels, because you had an operation on your wrist, didn't you?
Yeah, I had an operation in February, but really I'd been affected and struggling to do any crafting for a year. And it's only been the last month really that I've been able to do it. But no, it's really difficult. And like for the last year I was writing up my PhD and working, and then starting a job and commuting, and it's just, and I didn't have my hobbies to wind down, to relax with, and I found that very difficult. But there are things that you can do, and it's very difficult to stay positive when you can't craft. But I signed up to Jane Stafford's online guild, and I was watching her videos, and then it's actually when I started watching podcasts, vlogs, podcasts, because that's was giving me inspiration for projects. And I was just telling you before, I've started reading The Vanishing Fleece by Clara Parks, which is really interesting. So there are things you can do, and I was saying that I've got my books there, so like Spin to Weave, and I've got Yarn and Texture, and I went through them and tried to keep stimulated. But I have to say, some of the times I found it just got me more frustrated, because I was like, got all this inspiration and all this thought, and I couldn't even write at the time, and so I couldn't write down my notes of what I wanted to do. So it is frustrating, but there are ways to try and cope. But yeah.
I think with me, I joined Jane Stafford's guild as well for about this is my second year. And I found watching that really helpful. But also, if you can't, obviously you couldn't take notes, I could take notes. It's the fibers that affect my things. So even when I'm spinning, and just the hint of a fiber brushing against my hand, and it's just unbearable. But strangely enough, writing, I can write. So to me, I had different notebooks for different things, what I plan to do. So I can, when I'm ready to go, and it looks like I will be able to within the next fortnight, I've got these notes and ideas for different sort of things. So like we were saying, clothes is one of them. That's something that I would like to do as well. And also Zoom meetings. We were on to Jane Flanagan, who is super duper weaver extraordinaire in Bolton, and we were talking to her, and that was lovely. And she gave us some tips. She's such a generous teacher, and you learn off everybody, don't you? And you're constantly learning. So being able to have those Zoom meetings, that's been really lovely as well. So it hasn't been wasted time, but and I don't want to miss an opportunity where working it. So I've just got to be patient. That's the long and short of that. And I'm not very good at it.
No, it's difficult.
It's absolutely chucking it down here. I don't know if it's...
Oh yeah, I can just hear it.
Can you hear it? Wow.
Yeah, it's not raining here yet. Oh no, is it coming towards us?
Yeah, and I suppose, I don't know if people know, but I live on a boat. So it's hitting the metal roof. So it's
the roof in here, it's got a flat roof and you hear it.
Yeah.
It's quite nice. I have managed to do a bit of weaving. Not a lot, not as much as I was expecting. But I was weaving on the hand-dyed warp from Hilltop Cloud that I showed you last time. And I'll put a video in because I did a time-lapse video, mainly of my shoulder and my head coming forward, but of me weaving on it. And so because I think our last time I hadn't finished threading, and so I finished threading, and I got myself into a bit of a pickle. So when I tied the knots after I threaded it through the reed, and when I pulled them out, I just managed to create a knot in the yarn. And it was just, I couldn't unpick it because I'd pulled it, really quick.
Oh, no.
And so I had to cut a couple of threads. But luckily, and I'm really thankful that it was in the bit where, I weave some scrap yarn. And so I got to the point and it was it's in my favorite bit, the turquoise bit. And I was like, no.
Oh no!
I did an inch of scrap, and it's fine. So, and actually, I've got a really nice section of turquoise, so I'm really happy with it. And I chose a hook lace pattern, and I tried to quickly find where I got this pattern from. I know it was called Happy Tea Towels, and I don't know whether it was from Handwoven, and I might have bought a magazine, a digital copy of it, years ago. Because in my I Weave It app, I had the draft made up, so I already had it ready, and so I found it on Pinterest the other day, but I didn't save it. So
it's absolutely beautiful. The turquoise is really, really gorgeous. Would you recommend? Because it was that hand dyed warp that you bought. So would you recommend doing that?
I really would recommend it actually. I was really happy with it. And although I think I said in the last video, she recommended doing at 15 ends per inch, and I've done it at 20 ends per inch. And mine is narrow, but it's a lot wider than I anticipated in my head. And so I'm actually really happy with it. And I know she does 4-ply dyed warps as well. But I loved it because I didn't have to wind the warp. The colours are stunning, and I'm not a dyer myself, really, so I don't have that skill to be able to dye up what I want, and so it's really nice to be able to dye a beautiful warp and not have to put any of the effort in. So.
And you were mentioning the I Weave It app. For anybody who doesn't know what that is, would you recommend that for people who weave?
I use it all the time, so especially if you've got a loom with shafts, I know there are other programs out there, but this one, it goes on my iPad, and I think I can also get a copy on my phone. And so you can design drafts in there, and then you can buy some extra add-ons, and I think I've bought them all. So it tells you, it does all the calculations for you. So it tells you how much yarn you're going to need of each color, because you can put all the colors in. You can tell it, so because this one doesn't have any treadles for lifting the shafts. So in my baby wolf, you tie whatever shafts to the pedal, and then you press that down and it lifts them all up together. And so you can tell it that, and so then it just tells you what pedals you have to press. And I've told it that I don't have any treadles, so it tells me what shafts to lift at what point, which is really brilliant. So yeah, I really love it, and you can copy and paste. So I use it for all my patterns, and you can track your weaving as well. So you can tap the screen to say when you've passed the yarn through, which is also great. I genuinely use it all the time, and I've designed my own drafts on there. Because have you heard of name drafts?
No.
So a name draft is when you label, you have your head, your shaft, sorry, and so you assign a letter to each of the shafts. So this was on my 8 shaft, so you just go through, and so 1 is A, and you go B, C, D, and you go through. Sorry, I'm running up the stairs. Okay.
Stairs will get you every time.
Yeah, and then you have my name. So my name, Heather, and so I look at where H is and what shaft it is on.
Oh, wow.
And so you just do the letters of your name to tell you what shafts to lift up. And so I designed this pattern with my whole name.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
I do remember now. I remember you doing this now. You said that.
So technically, this is my name draft. And so this is a scarf I wove from it.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Reminds me of Batman symbol, really.
No, it's really nice. What a good idea.
Yeah. So I can't even remember what prompted that, but anyway. So here you go.
You pick up loads of good ideas, don't you? You just like little cherry picking ideas and collecting them. And Jane Flanagan told me when we were on Zoom the other day, and I was saying this to you, wasn't I? She said about sampling. And you think, oh, sampling, do I need a samplet loom to do sampling? Should I sample at the beginning? Should I? And she said, what you need to do is when you are doing a piece of work with a new warp, maybe with a new thread that you haven't used before, add extra onto that for the end. So that when you've done your piece, then you have extra to sample at the end of that. And I thought that would be for your next piece. So you're ahead of the game before you've even started, and that had never occurred to me before. No, and I thought, what a great
when you told me, I was like,
it's all these little things that you pick up, and no, it's great. I love it. Yeah, I want to do a name draft now as well.
Yeah, it was really fun because you can play around, and I kind of did that as an overdraft pattern, and so you can just play what kind of, you could do it as a twill or something.
Yeah.
And then go on.
No, great idea. That's it.
So then the next thing, the only other thing I have to talk about of weaving is my yarn arrived from My Fine Weaving yarn. This is Venne cotton for my halfdral towels. halfdral by Ariana Funk. And so I've got
really nice. I like those. Good
so
choice.
These will be my mind's just gone blank, the warp, and then this will mainly be for the weft. And then I've also got, sorry, I'm making my computer shake, some cotton that I bought years ago for weaving some fabric to make some shoes. Which I never did.
As everybody does.
Yeah.
Weave their own shoes.
So I thought I could maybe incorporate some of this into it as well, into the towels.
Yeah, they're good pops of colour.
Yeah. So I'm really excited. I just need my heddles to arrive. and it depends how fast they come, but I might set up, like I mentioned last week, the plain weave tea towels with the boucle.
Right.
Yeah,
Because I think we were both in the same boat, really, weren't we? Because we want to do the half-brow tea towel, but because we've both got new Ericas, we needed 200 more, wasn't it? 200 more heckles?
I think
300 more. 300 more. So we've both ordered from, well, I've ordered from Wefblone.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. And so I'm just waiting for those. And I've ordered cotton as well from My Fine Weaving Yarns. And but I did order mine after yours, so I'm hoping mine will arrive by tomorrow when I can go and pick it up.
Knitting.
Knitting, right? Yes. Okay. Well, I've hardly done any knitting, but I have. There's a little bit more on this sock. I've put the place marker in for the afterthought heel, and I'm just, so hopefully I'll be able to carry on with that. So maybe I've done an inch of knitting there.
Yeah, you've done quite. Well, last time I saw it, I'm pretty sure it was like this big, and now it's double.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe me sitting here saying I haven't been able to do any crafting, and actually I've done loads.
Well, I have a finished object. I was supposed to be doing my jumper, and I finished the body of it, and it's smaller than I expected, and I was really disappointed. No. So I kind of frogged it for about a week, and then I finished the collar, and then I cast on an arm, and I'm hoping that I can block it to a bigger size, but I just kind of lost the mojo for it. So yeah, these things happen. This is why I'm not so keen on knitting big projects. But socks, so obviously. Yeah, so these are I used the pattern that I mentioned last week and also called it the wrong name. It's the Tuffy boot socks by Atherley. And so I did this with my, I don't know if you can see, the yarn held. So I used Drops Sky and held it with a strand of Drops Kid Silk. And so it's got a halo. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you can see that. It's lovely and warm, that though, isn't it?
Yeah, these are definitely winter socks. So these were really fun to knit. They're really soft, and I guess I can't wear them for quite a while, but
lovely.
So we have had some colder weather, so
yeah.
And then the current thing that I've cast on in my lovely little knitting bag by our friend Leanne from Freda and Flo is the Rita socks by Danielle Jorge, and this is from yarn that you sent me, which is absolutely gorgeous. It reminds me of Raspberry Ripple ice cream.
I love that. I love doing that. I love anything with a bit of maroon in it, I used to dye lots and lots of purple, but I love that plummy maroon pops of it now and again. I love it.
It's gorgeous, and I really love the little yellow flecks that are coming in it. So I made a mistake in one side, so I'll show you this side. I don't know whether it's coming out. It's a lovely little lace pattern.
Oh yes, I can see it now.
Yeah,
I love that cuff though, Heather. That's nice.
It's a really nice cuff. You knit in the back stitch, so it gives a really tight knit stitch. I really like the look of it.
Very neat.
And then I'm using little stitch markers from Freda and Flo as well. They're really cute.
She's got a range of them, hasn't she? But I'm using the little butterfly as well on there. You've got the circle, haven't you? I've got the little clip. They're so nice. She's got llamas. She's got alpacas or llamas, and she's got lovely ones. But I love it. It's so nice and light.
They're so cute. Anyway, so I'm really happy with this. It's slow knitting, and I don't think I've really done lace work. When I come to knitting, I am a bog standard. Not that I can teach myself things, but I just want to knit stockinette. I just want mindless knitting. So this is actually requires me to pay a bit more attention, and I have made a mistake when I was watching TV. So yeah, it's really cute. It's a really cute little pattern, and I just think it looks. Go on.
Sorry, I was just about to say, do you think that you need something simple when you're knitting, because the weaving patterns that you do are quite complex, aren't they? And if you're creating your own patterns and drafts, is it you come to weaving to just do something simple? Knitting.
Yeah, definitely. Knitting is my switching the brain off, because I don't usually weave in front of the telly, because I usually actually watch what I'm doing, whereas when I'm knitting I can knit without watching what I'm knitting.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I prefer simple, and often like I just want to switch my brain off.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I find it so relaxing. I have to say, I've really found knitting relaxing this pandemic.
As opposed to the last one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely been like a massive savior in the stress, because it's such a horrible time, isn't it, for everyone?
Yeah, I think it's even if it's not so bad, I can't say that it's been super difficult for us, because of we've been very, very fortunate because of where we are, and because of having nice weather. We've been able to go out. We've got a canoe and been able to go out and about a little bit, staying within the area here. But even now, thinking that there's another 3 weeks for the family. For me, it might be another, unless there's a vaccine, it might be another year. But for the family, especially if you're younger, I think it's tough. And I would imagine that people who've got children, or people who are in flats, or it's going to be very, very difficult. Yeah. And I hope that people who rely on their crafts to give them a little bit of comfort and solace, I hope that they've got enough stash there.
Yeah. Well, we had the virtual Wonder Wool.
Yeah. What did you think?
I didn't go on the website in the end. I knew, as always, when I go to any wool show, I know exactly who I want to buy from.
Is that from years of practice?
Yeah. And so I'd been, in the week beforehand, been browsing people's websites, and they'd been posting on Instagram what they're putting up for the show. And so as soon as the shop updates went live, I was like, get on. Yeah. Bye. So
well, I didn't. I had a look. I had a really good look, but I'd already bought all that cotton from My Fine Weaving and the heddles, and so I was really kind of spent up. But I thought it was a great idea, and I thought that it went very well. And the work that they put into organising it, I thought it was great. Really good.
Because what month is it? So it's May tomorrow, isn't it? No, is it Thursday? Yeah. So it's May tomorrow, and so Woolfest will be in June. It's usually around the 24th of June.
It's the last weekend usually, isn't it?
So imagine they'll probably have to be virtual as well. I mean, even if we come out of lockdown, I'm not sure I would particularly want to go to a packed place. I didn't think they could do it.
No, there's probably going to be more weaving, I would think, as well at Woolfest than there would be at Wonder Wool Wales. So maybe I might be ready to just spend a bit more then.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just so nice to get crafting though. And I hope you get to do a lot more crafting.
Well, things are looking up. Things are starting to improve. So I'm just, there's been so many like almost, and then not quite. But I do feel like this time it's this round of antibiotics. It's going to work. Sorry, too much information for everybody. Try to keep it all light and breezy.
Well, you have got spinning to show. I've been naughty, and I didn't do a single bit of spinning, even though I even said that I was going to do 15 minutes a day.
Did you not do any?
Didn't do any.
I think that's funny that you consider that naughty. Rebellion. This is what's considered rebellion. I'm not going to spin for my 15 minutes.
I've been playing Animal Crossing obsessively.
I've got 3 skeins, but this isn't from the last fortnight. This is what I talked about in the last one. I just wanted to show what I've ended up with. I wanted to spin everything when we moved house and I had all those different gauges of hand spun. I thought, it's not, what I need is some kind of uniform. So if in my head everything I spin to 4-ply, I'm probably around about sock yarn 4-ply, which the sock yarn that I have is usually around 19 wraps per inch. So I've got these, so I got this, which is lovely sort of this dyed purple merino from Kromsky, and it came when I ordered looms for stock, and so it was at like a special offer. And so this is merino, and I checked with Kromsky, and they do know the provenance of their merino. They know even to the farm that it comes from, and they know how it's treated. So felt very happy to be able to sell that. But spinning it up was lovely as well. So that's a really nice purple.
Merino is lovely.
So I dyed this, and I love dyeing, and I love that it's always a surprise when you spin it, because it always looks very different, doesn't it? And with this, there was quite a large section that was undyed, and I thought that would become very sort of prominent in the fibre. But when I've spun it, it's like that. Can you see that?
Yeah.
And it's very tweedy.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
And the purple just sort of has just been kind of eaten up, really. But I did think it would go nice with those 2 together.
Oh, that looked lovely. What are you thinking of knitting with it? Or weaving?
Well, I'm going to weave. I'm going to weave. I don't know what yet, but I'm going to weave. I've got quite a lot more of that purple, so and I haven't got much more of this variegated. So if I get a chance to do a little bit of dyeing, I might do a little bit more dyeing. And then there was a little bit of blue as well that has got purple flecks in it. So that I thought might work well together.
That looks really nice.
So sorry, I keep hitting my keyboard. So I'd got, just before I was able to do a little bit of spinning, and so that's it on the bobbin. I've got a Kromsky Sonata in the boat. It folds up, and it's so it keeps out the way. Although I do love my Ashford traditional as well, which I've got up in the container. I have a container just around the corner where I keep everything in. We said we'd have to explain things. You waffle on and you forget that that people don't know. So I said I would do try and aim for 19 wraps per inch, and so I was just measuring up what I'd done. And I don't know what you're like, I like to spin and I like to watch the telly. I'm not super picky about my spinning, because like you, for me, spinning is my mindless go-to thing, and I want to do it while I'm talking to people or while I'm watching the telly. I don't want the spinning police to be coming and checking up on my work. So anyway, this particular one came to 18 wraps per inch, but looking at the others, it's very, I don't know, some maybe 20, 21 wraps per inch, some areas, and maybe some might be 17, depending on what was actually happening.
That's the beauty of a hand spun though, isn't it?
Yeah.
My hand spin's never even all the way through.
No, and when you weave it, even when people are I'll give you an example. One of the ladies came to spin on my class, and she'd bought a wheel that was actually, she'd been taken for a bit of a ride with this wheel. It was a bit of a nightmare, and so she struggled, and she thought it was her, and it wasn't. It was the wheel. I struggled to spin on this wheel. Anyway, she sent me a message, and she called herself Class Dunce, which I thought was just really sad, because having the wrong wheel can make you think you're a bad spinner, and it's just often it's not the case. Anyway, she then bought a loom, and she came for a warping up class, and she bought this hand spun that she'd done on this clunky wheel. So it was very, very textured, very slubby, thin bits, thick bits. And she used this in her weaving, and 2 of the ladies on the class separately sent me messages afterwards and said, where did she get her wool, because I want to weave with that. And she thought she was the class dunce, and yet this piece of material was going to be so beautiful in this very, very textured yarn. So I think you get that with hand spun, don't you?
Yeah, you do. And I love spinning with weaving with hand spun. I just love the texture that comes out of it. And it was a while back. I sent you a picture or a link to someone had done a beautiful blanket with their hand spun, and that's what I'd really like to do as well. And so I found like 3 skeins that I'd got, I think from Cat and Sparrow UK, that I would like to spin at 4-ply, which might be quite difficult for me because I'm definitely more of an iron weight person. And then just make a double width blanket, because it was so beautiful, because all the subtle color changes and
even Aran weight. Imagine a lovely Aran weight blanket. That'd be absolutely beautiful. I do wonder whether, you know, a 4-ply blanket is going to be quite thin, isn't it?
Yeah.
But an Aran weight, that might be.
Might be nice to do it as a, you know, the blanket scarves, which are really wide. So you could even use like the width of the Erica and do like a blanket scarf. Yeah, so that's when I finish spinning this, what I've got on the wheel now, I think that's what I'm going to start as my next spinning project, is to spin for a blanket, I think. Or maybe I kind of like the idea of a blanket scarf.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Goals. 15 minutes a day, you'll get there.
Yeah. Well, now I've dug out my wheel because it was hidden behind a chair. So and now I've put it prominently, so I should be able to get it easy. I was like, it's too far away. I can't get it.
Well, that's the beauty of having it, being able to have it there and just pick it up. And, you know, I think if these things are hidden away, even if it's just, I don't know, going upstairs or being on your own, isolated, it can put a barrier into stopping you doing it. So if you're able to, if your family's there and you're all sitting together and you're able to knit or you're able to spin, then it's makes it easier. Yeah,
it does. Right. So,
are we done? I'm just having a look and see if we've missed anything. I don't think we have. I think we've mentioned all the things that we said we were going to mention.
We have an errata for
do we?
The Fairfield Mill. We actually meant Fairfield Yarns. We do apologise, but just correcting that. But yeah, I think that is it. So that's done for episode 2, and we will be back in 2 weeks.
Okay, with loads done.
Yeah. Oh, do you want to set any goals, or shall we?
I'm going to carry on spinning, and I'm going to have the Erica loom is going to be all. I'm going to start weaving on it. I won't say that I will be done, but my goal is to have started weaving on it.
Brilliant. I will have made progress on what is currently on the loom, and have made progress of the sock, the Rita sock, which I think is going to be quite a slow knit for me, because I'm using a smaller needle size and more stitches. So
all right,
it's a bit of a slower knit, but yeah.
Oh, good.
So
brilliant. I'll see you in a fortnight.
Yeah. See you.
See you, Heather. Bye. Bye.